This week in Siege, Fntzy isn't so great. Are you kidding me? When was the last time you saw a player with such an ability and movement with Furia? I was just reading the copy pasta. But anyways, it's a takeover by the best pack, APAC, and two former love teammates clash with a very unlikely victor. Everybody, it's me, Jackie Jing, and welcome to another exciting episode of Debrief for Week 4. Starting off with the NAL, though we had the headliner SSG TSM matchup to kick things off, where hot and cold was hot. With 21 kills, eyes turned to an unlikely game. Fresh off a loss to Sonics last week, DZ were itching for a win today against bottom of the table XSET. People were very interested in seeing how former teammates nvK and Canadian would clash in their new teams. Though Canadian started with a 3K, XSET and nvK ended the half with a 3K of his own and a 4-2 lead.
But they've lost with the plants going down as well. There's a huge amount of smoke here. Kratos has to reload, and now they're going to try and rush in. They found the space, but it's still down. And nvK! Oh my god!
But as nvK turned back the years, helping his team secure a 6-4 match point, DZ did well to force OT and then get match point. Unfortunately for Canadian, last week's loss to Sonics was followed by an even more painful one to nvK and XSET, with this perhaps set to save XSET from relegation. Over in Europe though, we had an intense 14-rounder between VP and Heroic and a dominant Vitality win over Empire. It was another rogue win that made all perk up. Playing against the exciting Benjamaster featuring Kovana, you'd have been forgiven for expecting another rogue loss, especially after rogue went 0-3 down. But rogue whipped out an incredible 6 rounds in a row and had 3 match points to play with. Sloth and Grizzly delayed proceedings for a round, but Leon laid the smackdown with a triple of his own to finish a big 2 weeks for his team. Over in Brazil, we had an absolutely record-breaking game of Siege, even if it wasn't close, like FaZe's 8-7 win over Team 1. The Ints versus Fntzy. Sorry, Furia match started off in style with a Vitz quad kill. But the action ratcheted up immediately as Fntzy laid down the law.
Shepherded around at the moment here, and that's demonstrated there by Fntzy. Finding 2. How does he pick the second? What is going on? Ints, they're just throwing bodies at him, and he is hitting every single shot. Finally. What? Well, finally. Is he going to find this ace?
5?
Going to have Fntzy to deal with, and we've already seen what he's capable of today. Is he going to find himself 2? Yes, he is. Diffuser down as well. The Lion Scam roots him in place, but he takes out Hornet Tower as well. How does he know he's there? It can't be back-to-back aces.
No one else is allowed.
No one else is allowed to get this kill. Fntzy has to land it, and he will. He gets a second ace. Back-to-back aces, Gio. We have never seen this before.
Fntzy would have a 3rd ace stolen by Miracle at the end, with this record-breaking game marking the first back-to-back aces in the BR6, the highest ever BO1 kills per round average, and the highest BO1 match rating. Now that might just be the best ever BO1 performance by anyone ever. But the next day, eyes were on the struggling world champions NIP, who very nearly lost to bottom-placed W7M. NIP had started off well, with Julio getting 7 kills in the first 3 rounds to help his team go 3-0 up, but W7M brought it back, even taking the lead 6-5 and making NIP scramble to force OT. W7M then got match point again, but double kills from Pino, Kamikaze, and Muzi meant that NIP would spare their own blushes. But this week was really all about APAC, which had 4 play days, with the first ending with a banging Japanese derby. The Stage 2 champions Cyclops had just gone 14-0 across the Japan League season and would have been confident about taking down FAV as well. But FAV were off to the races from the word go, as number 2 got a 1v3 in the very second round. Multi-kills kept raining down. We saw 2 4Ks, 4 3Ks, and 7 2Ks as the game went to OT. Though Cyclops got the first match point with a Gatorada 3K, Fab's response was immediate, though the ending was, well, why don't you watch?
Afro is just trying to hold back as much as he can with these 2 final members remaining onto the stairs. Now going for a bit of a flank, going for the flank. Is 1 kill to come through from Anaton. 10 seconds left. It's going to be Afro that potentially drops. There's 5 seconds on the clock and number 2 is down. In the meantime, they need to get this kill. That's going to be aim for a headshot to come through. Anaton goes off and it's Fav that win it.
Day 5 in APAC North was arguably even wilder as T1 went up against Guts Gaming. After a 4-2 attacking half, Guts seemed to be cruising, but they'd been cruising for a bruising. T1 came to life like literally never before, reeling off 5 rounds in a row to reverse fortunes and get their first ever regulation win in APAC North. Down south, it was an Aussie bonanza with order featuring across both days. They started their week off against Stage 2 champions Knights and would have been happy with an eventual 4-2 half, but they could not stop OT despite getting match point first and couldn't hold on after Knights got 3 in a row for the second time to win 8-6. Up against Wildcard next, things started very similarly, as Order would get a 4-2 lead on Villa defense. They might have won it in regulation time, being 6-4 up, if they'd remembered where Fntzy was.
It's Milo and Vinny, all that remain here for Wildcard. 3 points on the line for Order, and like a jack in the box, they come out. Vinny goes massive again.
Going to OT, it seemed that another 8-6 loss was on the cards, but Nico and Nate combined brilliantly in the last 2 rounds to give them their first OT win in 3 tries. Meanwhile, in Mexico, the action was still top-notch in what was the final week of the league. The first day's pick of the action was undoubtedly between relegation-threatened Kingdom and league leaders Etheris. It was a hugely important game for Kingdom, who would avoid relegation if they got at least 1 point, and they did well to stay in the game. That 3-3 first half was importantly turned into a 6-6 regulation scoreline, and even though Etheris won, Kingdom's point meant Shivas would go down to the relegations. Kingdom kept the momentum up the next day though, and are looking to peak for the Super Copa in time. Even though 6 Karma was 11 points ahead, Kingdom kept pace to finish 4-2 in the first half on the favored Villa defense. That advantage proved to be just enough, as a nail-biting final round saw Kingdom take the win 7-5 and close out Stage 3 of the Mexican League. Finally, in South America, we had 2 exciting days to conclude their Stage 3, starting with Coscu Army versus New Star. Coscu got off to an absolute blinder, going 5-1 up on Clubhouse defense, but New Star responded in kind, clawing back from 6-3 to 6-6, and then secured match point in OT. But a vital 3K 1v1 clutch from Misha kept Coscu in it, before they converted it into a victory. The real fight was on the next day though, as the lead finally switched back into Malvinas' hands. Malvinas did their job by taking a 7-2 win over Nocturnes to start the final day of South American play, but to wrest the lead back, they needed help from Furious Gaming in the 3rd match. 9Z team fell 7-4 despite having been 4-0 up and will be seeded 2nd for the Copa Elite 6. That's all for this week, folks. With the regional competitions back worldwide, be sure to hit up the competitions pages on SiegeGG to see who's topping those leaderboards. And don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube and follow us on Twitter for all sorts of fantastic content. And follow me at Jackie J. Before we go, let us know in the comments how you think the Copa Elite 6 will go, and be sure to join in the predictions on SiegeGG. Bye, Siege fam!